right, we are back on the Ringer NFL show. Ruiz, what do you got? What did you learn in Week 14?
Yeah, my lesson comes from the Bills-Rams epic. I don't know what else to call it. The quarterback duel, maybe the best quarterback duel of the season, in a season where we've gotten like 5 elite quarterback duels between Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford. But my main takeaway from this is the same takeaway I've kind of had on this Bills defense all year long is like, I respect them against most quarterbacks, but against a good quarterback, they're going to get torn up. And against a good coaching staff, they're going to get torn up. And we saw it in this game. I mean, Stafford made a handful of unreal throws. Nakua made a handful of unreal catches. Cooper Kupp looked like vintage Cooper Kupp. I thought McVay kind of dusted off the old offense. Like they were getting under center, getting some boot action, getting Stafford outside the pocket. He got the run game going for a little bit there, but I thought it just looked too easy at times for Stafford to kind of know where his options were and where his outlets were. And it was just like easy in the same ways that it typically looks easy against the Bills defense, against that zone coverage. When you're not getting a pass rush, and they didn't sack Matthew Stafford once in this game, it's really hard for that defense to look good, especially with the pieces they have on the back end now. Like 4 years ago, they had some stars back there. They had Poyer, they had Micah Hyde, they had Trey White at the top of his game. Teron Johnson obviously is still there, but he was a good player back then too. I don't think they have the dudes back there now to kind of go to war with these offenses when they're really clicking. We've seen them beat Kansas City, but we've talked about Kansas City's issues with putting up points. I want to see it against a quarterback like this, and the example we got on Sunday wasn't a good one.
Yeah, and there's been other games. I mean, they play the Ravens earlier this season. Ravens take it to them, scored 35 in that game. So I think it's fair. I know you were mentioning it last week. And the thing with the Bills, it's like it's not just kind of what we're seeing this season. I mean, in the past, they've gone into the playoffs with defenses that were better than this defense, but they get in a one-off game against a good quarterback or a good offense, and they get picked apart there. So I think it's hard for me to know whether it's like, I should be very concerned about the Bills, or just like we've seen Stafford and McVay and Nakua on a heater in other games. Not that it's every week. They can't do it every week, but when they do it, man, it looks pretty. They look so unstoppable. This was one of the best games by any offense. By the way, both teams, if you look at it statistically, these were 2 of the best games by any offense the entire season. The Rams had 8 possessions, 5 touchdowns, 1 field goal, and 2 punts. I mean, Stafford, 320 yards, 2 touchdowns, doesn't take a sack, doesn't throw an interception, doesn't have a fumble. This was the second best quarterback performance of the season statistically based on EPA per pass play. So Diante, when you look at it, are you going more, right, it's fun to watch the Rams when they can still get to that level, or are you more Bills, like, got to figure some things out defensively?
Well, I feel like we talked the last couple of weeks about Buffalo and how close they are to be considered the NFL's best team at different points. And the one thing I said is that I was just waiting to see whether or not this coverage unit could take that next step and start to, kind of look a little bit more like what you want to see from a top level Super Bowl contending team. And I thought that the return of Matt Milano would go a long way towards that. And obviously they looked good in the snow last week against San Francisco. But this was the kind of game where I needed to see Taylor Rapp and Damar Hamlin step up and be able to take away those intermediate throws. And what we saw instead was Matthew Stafford basically pick on those guys. He was able to find wherever Taylor Rapp was, and he was going to attack him with an end breaker. He was able to find Damar Hamlin and manipulate him with his eyes. That's something that I've talked about multiple times, is that for Taylor Rapp, he's not necessarily the top end athlete. So the margin for error with him is really tough against an offense that's as precise as Sean McVay's, especially when you have a quarterback like Matt Stafford there. And with Damar Hamlin, he could be a bit of a gambler. And against an offense like this, if they know that you're not going to be at the exact spot you're supposed to be to take away a dig, to take away a post, Matthew Stafford's going to lay it out. Demarcus Robinson looked good deep downfield. They didn't need a bunch underneath from Cooper Kupp, and you just saw Puka Nacua just pick on them again and again and again in the same areas of the field, out on the sideline in the intermediate area, in the middle of the field in the intermediate area. They were able to design whatever they wanted for their receiving core and for their quarterback. And I think that for Buffalo, it's not necessarily that this is going to be a disqualifying factor for them, as much as if they lose to Kansas City, if they lose to Baltimore, I think we all know what the conversation is going to be about why it is that happened. It's probably going to be because this coverage unit didn't have enough juice on the back end to be able to take away explosive offense, and that was on display today.
I actually love this. This is a great game. Let's play this game right now. So you're saying if and when the Bills lose, we'll be talking about their coverage unit wasn't good enough. They got cooked defensively, and that's why they didn't get to the Super Bowl. There you go. All right, so Bills lose this game. Costly loss in the AFC playoff picture only because I'm sure they were eyeing that home field advantage. That bye, again, still have a chance, but now you need the Chiefs to lose 2 of their last 4 games to even have a shot at that. And by the way, the Bills still have to face the Lions on their schedule here. And Rams, you're back in it. We're going to talk some more Rams in the next segment as well when we go over the playoff picture. All right, let's take a break. We come back. We get Deante's lesson from week 14.